Effectively communicating with someone is not an easy skill, and it's not easily learned or picked up. Some people are inherently good at it, some aren't. But what we find in a movie like The Avengers, in a multicultural universe, and something that you could argue is very much like today's world, different languages, different cultural upbringings, different understandings, different ways of looking around the world and how people view things. It's very important to keep note that you properly have to be able to communicate and be able to speak clearly and articulate your thoughts to other people around you. Now, that's not always the easiest thing to do, and it's not always the most simple thing to do. But what is important to remember is that if you're able to properly share your ideas and let other people know what you're thinking, what you're talking about, they'll be able to empathize with you and understand what you're trying to get across and the message that you want to send. Now, something like the Avengers, broad, ragtag team, people all over the universe, they're able to understand the main concept of working together and effectively communicating. How does a whole bunch of individuals, all different, how do they come together? It's by being able to communicate and understand that there's a greater good out there. They do that with different verbal messaging, nonverbal messaging, facial expressions. They have plans that they come up with and are able to talk together and get through that. Additionally, there are some things that go unnoticed. Thanos killing Gamora, which nobody really picks up, but it is something to note that there are facial expressions, there are little social cues and tics that people share. Now, it's not always the same per individual, so it's important to really actively listen and try to understand what the individual is saying. Now, once you're able to understand the individual and what they're saying, you're able to properly formulate your own thoughts and opinions. Now, once you're able to do that, then you can really dive down into the messaging and understand what you want to accomplish and how you're able to accomplish that. You can listen by empathizing, by being polite and respectful. You can try to hold your own opinions inside. I know it's tough, believe me, everyone has a little bit of different prejudices. I don't mean that negatively or anything like that. It's just some people have different upbringings and they think things differently than others. Now, if you're able to keep an open mind, or at least try to, then you can empathize and try to understand the other individual. Now, it's very important that we do that, and this is a very big thing in a movie like The Avengers, when there's a lot of moving parts, but it really does come together as a team and the effective messaging of working together and doing what they can despite the differences they may have, despite the different upbringings, but they're able to do that and work together and ultimately not necessarily succeed in this movie, but they are able to work together and have some sort of success.